Well, hello, friends. Today is May 18th, 2020, and this is Trey Holcomb here presenting to you Chapter 26 of Ken Schoolin's book, The Adventures of Jonathan Gullible, A Free Market Odyssey. This is Chapter 25, True Believer. We go by the major vote, and if the majority are insane, the sane must go to the hospital. Heinrich Mann. As the applause began to fade, Joe Candidate just stood there motionless. Eager to keep the action rolling, Showman Phil tapped Joe on the arm and nudged him toward the exit. Joe just smiled and wouldn't budge, so Phil raised his arms to silence the audience. Joe spoke up. "I have someone I want you to meet." "Sure, Joe, of course, but we don't have much time." "It'll only take a minute. I have to tell you about one of our generic voters, our number one generic voter." Joe turned to the side and motioned to someone off stage. No one appeared, but Joe continued to gesture gently as if coaxing a shy toddler. Finally, a pale elderly woman appeared, at first gripping a fold of the curtain, then tentatively stamping forward. Phil immediately dashed over to welcome this small figure and pulled her forward. "Ladies and gentlemen," said Phil nervously, as the shyness of the woman showing up his false enthusiasm, "aren't we lucky to have a bonus today? And who have we here?" The old woman, wearing a simple black and white checkered dress, made Joe look like a caricature. Her pale face was expressionless, her eyes blank and empty. Her salt and pepper gray hair was neatly combed over her ears. She gripped a little black and white bag tightly as if it held her most valuable treasures. When she reached Joe, he began to speak evenly. "As you know, Phil, the island's voting record has been dismal for years, but that hasn't discouraged our guest, Phoebe. Phoebe just happens to be the record-breaking voter in Corumpo." Phil's eyes widened in astonishment. "Oh, I know about you. I've heard so much about you, ma'am. This is none other than the reigning voter of all time, the record holder of balloting, the champion of island mandates. Ladies and gentlemen, we are truly blessed with the presence of none other than Phoebe Simon." Again, the crowd responded to its handlers with generous applause, though some were sneaking out the back door. Others covered their yawns behind their programs. "Phoebe," said Showman Phil, "I have a question that I'm sure is on everyone's mind." And he paused. Stillness descended on the auditorium. Projecting his voice so that everyone would hear, he said, "Why do you vote so consistently?" With a look of pure innocence, Phoebe replied in a soft, sweet voice, "Well, sir, it's my duty to vote. This is what the council tells me. They say it doesn't matter who I vote for, so long as I vote. So I vote. I have voted in every single election since I was first eligible 50 years ago today." "Wow," replied Phil, 50 years. Isn't that incredible, folks?" Once again, the audience clapped. "But let me ask you the ultimate voter question, Phoebe. There's a saying, the lesser of two evils is still evil. Now tell me truthfully, Miss Simon, do you vote even when you don't like any of the candidates?" "All the time, sir. My daddy told me once that if I didn't vote, then I'd have no right to complain about elected officials. I vote to protect my right to complain." "How about that, folks? Now tell me honestly, Miss Simon, do you believe in Joe's promises?" "Of course I believe. I always believe. If I didn't believe, why would I vote for him?" "Do you know what the pundits are saying about you? They claim that you are the last true believer on Corumpo." "Yes, sir, I've heard about them," Phoebe replied almost too softly to be heard. "I believe them too. I believe you. I believe everyone." Turning to the crowd, Phil placed a hand over his heart and exclaimed, "Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever heard anything so tender, so childlike? Isn't it wonderful that innocence can still be found on our all-too-cynical island?" Then, returning to his guest, he asked, "And, Phoebe Simon, did your representative ever fail you?" "Oh, sure," shuddered Phoebe. "He always fails. Time and time again. He has hurt me so many times. But I stand by my representative no matter what." She seized Joe's arm and pressed tightly to him. "And I will forever. I can't imagine life without Joe and all my ex-reps before him." Then someone from the audience shouted, "Why believe after so much heartache?" She looked at Joe painfully and replied, "I believe that he is good at heart. He means well. I believe he can change. I can help him change. I believe that deep down he really cares about me. He just doesn't understand me. Ah, sighed the audience in unison. Folks, this brings tears to my eyes. But Phoebe, these are tears of concern as much as of joy. Some in your family have tried to get you to join Voters Anonymous. Oh, no, sir, she said, shrinking. Voters Anonymous is for people with a problem. I don't have a problem. Do you think I have a problem? Phoebe, some experts declare that abused voters always keep returning to their reps no matter how much they suffer. Looking up at Joe trustingly, she asked, Do I have a problem, Joe? I don't think so. Seeing him smile, she gushed, I stand by my rep. A bell rang off stage, alerting Phil that they were out of time. Phil shouted for all to hear, Where would we be without true believers like Phoebe Simon? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's all show Phoebe Simon and Joe Candidate how much we love them both. The crowd broke into an enthusiastic cheer, happy that the real show was about to begin. And that is the end of chapter 26. Chapter 26, True Believer. Tomorrow we will hear from chapter 27, According to Need. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and God bless you. Thanks for watching.